Hi everybody, welcome to week 4 multimedia discussion board. My name is Yahir Caballero and we will be discussing wildfires in this presentation. It answers the question, what is the crisis that could occur that would require leadership? And yeah, like previous presentations I've done in previous assignments, I've chosen wildfires, so yeah. Okay, so the impacted area for the scenario where a single leader can emerge, like I mentioned, wildfires, but in specific California wildfires, as we've seen over the past few years, right? It's kind of become a thing that's been accustomed to California lifestyle or the California life with wildfires emerging almost annually. But in specific wooden neighborhoods, I think those will be more impacted the most. So yeah. All right, so some preliminary information in regards to wildfires is how many people are estimated to be impacted? Well over 200,000 people. Previous statistics, right, said that like 200,000 people had to evacuate, over 30 people killed. So yeah, a lot of people will get affected from this crisis. How long will the event and aftermath continue? It is very dependent on the severity of these wildfires, but it can last from months to years. And what services, industries, commerce, etc. will be impacted. Tourism, of course, because the area is being going through a crisis. Agriculture and buildings are getting burned and torn down. So yeah. Okay, so the 4 time frames that we'll be focusing on for this assignment is 3 seconds, 3 hours, 3 days, and 3 weeks. So with this slide, it covers the crisis situation at each interval. So at the 3 second mark, it's when you begin to notice the fires, right? You begin to notice the crisis beginning. So your mind says on saving as much as possible, but also evacuating as soon as possible. So you really do gotta be quick on your feet, and you gotta think quick on your feet as well. And then at the 3 hour mark, hopefully by then you've moved far away from the fires. You're in a safe area. You're safe, right? Safe and sound. And also you helped or saved as much as one can possibly do in this type of situation. And at the 3 day mark, it's time to listen to authorities first and foremost. Listen to authorities, and then assess the damage that was done. Start to initiate recovery efforts. Start safety assessments and cleanups. And then at the 3 week mark is the beginning of the rebuilding phase. You know what I mean? Like staying in touch with local recovery task forces. Of course, financial recovery because a lot of damage has been done. And also preparing for the future. So how does this situation evolve in terms of leaders, right? So the leader at 3 second mark will most likely be, if it's not a parent or an older sibling or any sibling or a guardian that's with you, most likely it'll be self-leadership. You're gonna have to make decisions based on long-term vision, and you're gonna have to be self-aware. The leader at the 3 hour mark can be a neighbor, can be a police officer that came to help. The leader at 3 days will most likely not be a government official, kind of guiding the community, guiding people along the way. And the leader at the 3 week mark will be a nonprofit leader that will help with the rebuilding phase and help try to restore the community, try to get everyone situated. So yeah. All right. So for my first concept that I found in chapter 1 is the administrative leadership model. I found this pretty interesting. It fits the time interval of 3 weeks because as you can see by the definition of administrative leadership model, or some of the side notes that I wrote for it, it's administrative leadership is the process of aligning the organization with its environment, especially the necessary macro level charges, and realigning the culture as appropriate. Administrative leaders build vision, require resources, manage crisis, etc. So that's pretty much what would be helpful in this sort of situation after 3 weeks, when like kind of potentially the fires went down already or they lessened drastically. So now it's kind of like it's almost the beginning of like the rebuilding phase, right? So or we're in the rebuilding phase, so then that makes sense about building visions. So like, where do we go from here? Acquiring resources needed, and of course managing the crisis. And then the journal article Administrative Leadership by John Wergen. It just explains more about the leadership roles and how, and in the administrative leadership model, it's not just exclusive to those that are high power, but anyone can really get it. Anyone can become a leader, right? Based off personality and based off who's up for the task, right? So yeah. Okay, so for my second concept, found in chapter 2, it fits the time interval of 3 hours, and I put inspirational style, 3 hours, right? So it's been a while now, or like you kind of now, like I mentioned earlier, you're away from the fires now. You kind of need some inspiration now, right? Because you're like, where do we go from here? So that's where inspirational style comes to play. Emphasizes rising to the challenges of all types of change, right? There's a lot of change going on right now in this crisis, and a leader who has weak motivational speaking skills is likely to have limited success. Thus, it's important to be inspirational, right? You need to know how to lead a group. And then the journal article "Inspirational Leadership" by Dr. Jal Mishri and Mrs. Abba Hyo explains more about the inspiring leader, and it's one that's unselfish and empathetic. Explains the characteristics of inspiring leaders. So yeah. Okay, so for my chapter 3, the content that I got from chapter 3 was classical management theory. If this fits the 3-day time interval, because with the classical management theory, this approach assumes higher leader control, high use of formal authority, and extrinsic incentives and internal focus. It's a directive style, and it's a heavy focus on production and efficiency, which is kind of needed when it's a 3-day mark and 3 days after the crisis started. I think you need everyone kind of on board, right? You need everyone to be playing their part. And with a journal article, an overview of classical management theories review article by Nia, it does explain more about the basis of or the construction of what classical management theory looks like, and how there's a top level, mid level, and first level management. So there's a bit more insight on this theory. So the concept that I chose that really caught my interest in chapter 4 was charismatic leadership, and the time interval for this one is 3 hours. Charismatic leadership is also based on the leader's passion, confidence, and exceptional ability to persuade and sway people, which is also another type of leadership that can be beneficial in the 3-hour mark. A lot of people get swayed by someone's charisma, right? So I think you do need someone that kind of has that type of personality that is easy to listen to and follow, right? Rather than like I said, like in the journal article right here, a more supportive, sensitive, nurturing, and considerate leaders are preferred, right, in the modern day, rather than like those traditional dominant and demanding leaders like back in the day. And so it is a personality-based leadership that can be really helpful in this type of situation. All right, so the concept that I chose for chapter 5 was self-leadership, and I thought that self-leadership fit really well with the 3-second time interval because of how likely you're going to be your own leader in the 3-second mark. So yeah, self-leadership is composed of self-direction, self-support, self-achievement, and self-inspiration. So yeah, you got to rely on yourself. And when it came to the journal article, it discussed how empowering individuals to lead themselves can enhance motivation. So there is some benefits, right, from this situation. It can enhance your performances, right, because you're just pretty much trying to survive, right? Your survival instincts come out, so like you really do rely on your intelligence as well. So yeah. When it came to chapter 6, I chose morale management as a concept, and I chose 3 days time interval because it's an ethical theory and it focuses on organizational structures, but also it focuses on the human side of things, right? Because like it says right here on the slide, right below journal articles, management is much more than just focusing on being as efficient as possible. You do gotta look on the human side of things, like the ethnic and morale side of things. So I think those are just as important as like getting everything right, getting every detail, being as organized as possible. Because if everyone's on side, right, everyone's morale is good, and moral, that could by itself bring the efficiency levels high as well. So yeah, and also like when it's a 3 day mark, it's like it's important to keep the management of the morale high. So yeah. So when it came to chapter 7, I chose the strategic leadership theory concept, and it fit the 3 week time interval the most because there is a focus on efficiency and effectiveness. And like I said, at the 3 week mark, there is the rebuilding phase, right? So I think a lot of focus is on the efficiency and effectiveness of things. And then emphasizes identifying change needs and opportunities and executing them effectively. Along with the journal article, it does kind of go more about strategic leadership and those type of leaders and how they're all meant to be able to adapt and be flexible. So yeah, the concept is competency based approaches for the last concept, and that was found in chapter 8 and matches the time interval of 3 seconds. Why 3 seconds? That's the first time interval, and it's pretty much it focuses on universal characteristics such as emotional intelligence. And I think you do need emotional intelligence, especially in the first couple of seconds when you notice a crisis is amongst you, right? So I think you do gotta be emotionally intelligent. You gotta make some decisions based on what you think is the right thing to do, right? And then when it came to the journal article, of course, you see here the book right here. It discussed more about these approaches, and it's pretty much you can consider them basic approaches, but the right approaches, right? Like the ones that kind of will bring up results. So yeah, training programs, job requirement, organization needs, all of those are basic but helpful and useful. So yeah, that was my presentation. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys all have a great day.